Welcome back to Against All Odds podcast. I am your host, Rebel Ray, coming to you live with
R. Collins.
And today we're just going to be updating you on everything that's been happening with us and the current events, right?
Definitely.
We always tell our people, y'all stay abreast to what's happening in the world around you, the movement that's happening.
Yes.
And the ability to really stay engaged, right? And so kind of turning to current events here in the city of Stockton, we're kind of getting back to what we call, quote unquote, the normal. There is a new norm, right, with this pandemic.
Definitely.
I definitely don't think masks are going to go away.
No, masks are here. Yeah, they're
here to stay. They have all types of fashionable masks nowadays. I should bring one that I found. I look like Darth Vader in one of the ones I found. It's dope.
Not Darth Vader.
It looks like a helmet. Face to a helmet.
I used to think it was called Darth Vader. Is it Darth Vader? Or
it's Darth.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, most Star Wars trilogy and all the Star Wars fans, we would know that, right? Because we love Star Wars, right?
Definitely.
I love Star Wars.
Me too.
But getting back to some of the current events, how y'all doing?
How are y'all doing? I hope y'all
What's
day
up?
is good. What's up? Like in my Martin voice. What's up?
What's up? Can't nobody do it like Martin though.
No. You ain't doing the Martin.
He was the first one that we really saw radio really blow up in a fictional way, huh?
Right?
I did that on the Martin show.
It was dope.
What's up?
What's up?
Happy Easter for y'all that do. And we'll be celebrating this sunrise service for my Jewish comrades.
What's good?
I'm talking about. What's up? What's poppin', family?
What's
Daniel, good? Brother D is
how you doing?
On the line, loved one. Shout out to you. Shout out to Kiki. Shout out to Mom, Taylor, Loretta. Shout out to you. Hello.
Definitely.
So, for y'all that are trying to do the traditional thing this year, definitely get your turkeys, your hams.
Yeah, get it all.
What else are you getting now? Rabbit, your fowl.
Fowl? Not the fowl.
The fowl.
She went to the 1800s. Eat your fowl now.
The fowl. I think I ate quail and pheasant before. Other than chicken, yeah.
How did you like that?
Dope. I like it. It has to be prepared right.
It does. I think the furthest I've went is duck. I like duck. I've eaten deer too.
Deer.
It actually tastes good.
Snake, kangaroo, alligator, snails.
Maybe. What? No.
Ants.
No.
Yeah, I've tried it. The only thing I haven't tried are night crawlers. And if y'all don't know what night crawlers are, they're worms. I can't even suck a worm.
I'll eat a worm.
You stop it. Stop it.
They're protein. I mean, that's protein.
Listen.
I'm a real carnivore, but what you
so because we like to keep it lit on Against All Odds podcast, I'm going to take him up for the challenge. So I will be buying some night crawler products.
No.
He is going to be eating those live. Y'all stay tuned. I will bring it to you. Hey, I love theirs.
The only way I'll do that is, I don't know. It just depends.
So
that's scary for me.
If you eat the chocolate covered worms, I will eat the chocolate covered crickets.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, because it is worse eating the chocolate covered cricket than it is eating the chocolate covered worm.
With my pinky out like a bougie go. You know what I'm saying? Like crunch time.
Oh man,
crunch time.
Right. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
We're gonna do a Fear Factor episode.
There you go. Let's have that for next week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Come on, man.
Let's do
it.
No. I need time for that.
No, bro.
Mentally, I gotta get that.
I know you do. But you shouldn't have put yourself out there because I'm a crazy one.
All right,
I'm gonna call you out every time.
All right, I can't let you be calling me out. Let's do it. I'm with it.
Hey, Brother D said, let's go. So that's what we're going to do.
D, we need you on here eating some chocolate covered, some worms and some. Oh,
I can hear him now. Oh, no, brother. I don't eat nothing from the earth like that. Praise the Lord.
Oh, man.
But yeah, getting back to, getting ready for Easter.
Yes.
Some of y'all, y'all mamas, are getting ready and trying to collaborate and get y'all together. Make sure y'all stay safe. For the older people, keep your mask on and stuff like that.
Please.
Try to have it in the backyard this year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing Easter hunting, Easter egg hunting, don't have nothing to do with Jesus has risen, but
all them bunnies hopping around, ain't got nothing with Jesus is real.
But if you're doing just a little something for the kids, that's awesome. Someone told me they actually hid water balloons.
Oh,
with the eggs. And
what
the concept? You don't get that? You got this big old backyard.
So they pop when you...
Nah, bruh. Oh. When you find the water balloon, you popping somebody like...
Oh, okay. Got it.
Woo! You better... Woo! Get your...
Right.
You better get it together.
No doubt.
But, so they're hiding water balloons. 3 years ago, my boy, shout out to my play brother, Lamar. Shout out to Lamar. He did the dopest thing for everybody. He got into an Easter bunny suit. And when I tell you the love of God had to be called down, Shekinah glory.
That would have terrified me.
Listen, I'm going to tell you who was terrified. Okay? And she act like she running around here like she miss terrible. Is my.
Wow.
My little one.
I can see that.
That rabbit came up on top, and he got to be like 6'2".
Wow.
Yeah. So he was a big old bunny rabbit. He went to go hop, and she said, ah! And fell to the ground. Okay?
Hey, we were at Chuck E. Cheese one day, and the big old mouse came out, and the mouse terrified her. Okay, I was looking like, what in the world is going on here? I was like, it's just a person.
It's just a person, but they don't look at it like that. So kudos to you families who are getting together for Easter.
Yes.
If you're getting up for sunrise service or if you're going to fast, right? Which is it Palm Saturday they call it?
Please school me.
Yeah, I need someone to tell me. Is it Palm Saturday, whatever the day before he rose? I forgot what that was called.
Is that when he was riding in the donkey and they had the palms? I don't know. I'm uneducated in that.
Someone need to tell me.
Somebody please educate us on Palm Sunday.
Because some people look at Saturday as a Sabbath. You know what I mean?
Saturday is the first day of the week.
Oh.
Sunday.
On what calendar?
Sunday is the first day of the week. Monday is the second day of the week.
Oh, okay. Well, you taught me something.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I always thought Sunday. No, hold on. Is it Saturday? It's Saturday's the first day of the week.
Yeah. Saturday?
Or is it Sunday?
Saturday now?
It's one of them. I know it's
Monday was the first day of the week.
I thought it was Monday. No, it's Sunday. It's Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah, okay. Sunday's the first day of the week.
Weekends, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just glad to make it to the weekend.
Yeah, right?
But getting back to all that, Palm Sunday, oh, come on. I got my crew member in here. He's so wonderful. Palm Sunday commemorates the entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem when palm branches were placed in his path.
Got it.
Before his arrest on Holy Thursday and his crucifixion on Good Friday. The man found the donkey, brought it and its colt to Jesus, and placed their cloaks on the colt. All right, crew member.
All right.
You saved the day again. So that's where all that comes from, y'all. But talking about current events, we're going to current events. Mm-hmm. We got to stay abreast, y'all. Black Lives Matter. Listen. And fundamentally, for people who don't understand what Black Lives Matter means, that phrase, that saying, we're not saying that all contributions of society revolves around Black people. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that the disparities, the inconsistencies in justice, the way it's dealt out, how we're handled in society, we need to continue and be conscientious that Black lives matter. Doesn't mean that all lives doesn't matter. Mm. Doesn't mean that our brothers who are doing the good work, which a slogan came up with, Blue Lives Matter. Listen, we put Black Lives Matter out there because there's still certain things going on. So to kind of go onto the current events that's happening in Stockton, we had a young brother, 17-year-old young Black male here in Stockton, who actually got a civil rights attorney, John Barris, from the Bay Area, to pursue a lawsuit against the city of Stockton, the police department. And his name is Devin Carter. He was seriously injured. Okay, seriously injured. Young kid, goes to Lincoln High School here, and the civil litigation had been held off because they wanted to conclude an investigation, a lawsuit investigation, and they just paid out a large litigation from, I think, 2016. City of Stockton did with police brutality. But what they found out was that the chief Eric Jones, he decided to go ahead and let those 2 officers go. I think it was 2 officers that he let go, and he fired them. So they're looking for the district attorney to actually come up and deal with that. The officers were identified as Michael Stales and Omar Villaputa, if I'm saying that right.
Okay.
So, what happened was, basically, this young Black man, he must have been in fear of his life. I don't know what the narrative was for him.
That's normally what it is.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, whether they're doing right or wrong,
right.
shouldn't cost you your life.
Right. So they basically took the police on a pursuit, was scared, trying to get to a certain stop where he was at. And he didn't yield some of the lights. Anyway, they pulled him out, and what always usually happens. And so he was off at 8 Mile when they pulled him out. They bruised, he had bruises on his eyes. He had bloodshot eyes. He had scuff marks from boot prints. And he had the boot print actually on the left side of his face.
Young kid, Joe.
Young 17-year-old. Now, mind you, this can be one of our babies, right? And so he has scuff marks and bruises. And so basically what's been happening is father, Mr. George Carter, saying that the officer stumped out his son's face. And that was his words, right? I'm reading the article
That's
here.
Horrible. That's horrible.
So one of the major concerns was just basically the giving of excessive force. Again, Chief Jones, he's doing his best to work with some of the people, the OWL movement. Shout out to Tashante.
I just seen her today.
That's what's up. Faith in the Valley. They've been working with the police, y'all. They've been working with the police to try to help understand and have courageous conversations about over excessiveness and use of force. And the force was inflicted also on his neck and head. So this baby could have really been injured or even handicapped. Thank the Lord he was able to survive another day.
Yes.
I'd rather a child survive the day to face charges than our police to be judge, executioner, and sentence the poor baby to death.
Exactly.
And so we have to be diligent in that, right? Yep. So that takes us to what we've all been waiting for this last year in COVID and the pandemic. There's a lot of things happening with the Derek Chauvin case with George Floyd.
George Floyd.
And so that brings us to, I don't know if y'all been keeping up with it. And we can't turn a deaf ear, right? If you have Black children, if you're invested in a Black community, you want equity, right? I don't care if someone's committing a crime. I want them to be able to stand trial, right? I don't want you to, if you buy a Burger King, maybe I'll turn another eye. That's me being sarcastic though. Because there's been so many of the counterparts that have been treated differently when they've been taken into custody.
It's true. And I think that a lot of the times, we don't understand as a people. For us, we're constantly on watch, we're constantly on guard, you know what I mean? Because we know that this kind of stuff is out there.
Let me tell you, it's traumatizing Black men. And when they killed Sandra Bland, right?
That was
Because
horrible.
you don't miraculously just die in jail like that.
That was horrible.
When they killed Sandra Bland, it made me really realize that Black women are a threat too.
But look how she was speaking out. And
Yeah.
they knew her.
Yeah.
She was one of those ones who would videotape the police. She would be right there watching them, which she's in her constitutional right to do so. You know, and I believe it was revenge for what she was doing.
And a lot of that is innately intrinsic into a culture such as our American police department. A lot of you don't know the history of American policing started with small militias that were formed from individuals that also joined membership with the Ku Klux Klan.
KKK.
So they brought that culture into policing. Now there is loved ones. There are people who wear the badge, who want to honor the badge.
There are people that actually honor the badge.
They honor the badge.
And there are people, and it's sad because the bad apples that are out there really mess it up for the good ones.
Can I say something though? We always want to go to that concept, bad apple. There's bad apples everywhere. There's bad apples in social work and in therapy. It's sad that I have to, in therapy, one of the things that when one of my clients says that another therapist, I'm not talking about me, y'all, so don't get this twisted. Another therapist tried to come on to them, by law and ethical guidance, I'm supposed to give them what we call therapy does not include sex. Now that's crazy, right? You would think you go to get help from somebody.
They take it too far. They think it's emotional. Like you start getting what is it, an emotional connection or?
No. It's
like
called lust. It's called lust.
But this is what I'm saying. Like what I mean by that is, you're helping them. You're helping them cope. And eventually psychologically, I guess they feel like there's a connection there. Is that?
No, it's not necessary. I'm talking about the therapist going bad.
Oh.
I ain't talking about the client.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about when that happens and the client comes to you, say a client comes to you for whatever reason and they say, my therapist try to have sex with me or they try to initiate something that I feel uncomfortable with.
That. There's a lot of situations.
Same thing with your doctor. We have an oath. We have an oath of conduct, how we conduct ourselves ethically, and none of that should happen. Do you know why that shouldn't happen?
Well, I mean, it's unethical.
It's unethical, but there's a standard in every profession. And that standard is that you won't take your hierarchy out on people that is vulnerable. So when the police use excessive force, Art Collins, what are they doing?
They're dishonoring, first of all, their pledge that they made in front of everybody that saw it, because they gotta and do they still do the Bible where you put your hand on the Bible now?
I think they're sworn. I think they're sworn in.
But whatever it is, you made a pledge to do the right thing, protect and serve, and you're not doing it.
Yeah.
So
there's a Hippocratic oath that doctors take, lawyers take. So there's bad apples in every profession. I want us to kind of reframe that. I want us to be diligent in what we want as a community. We want to be respected. We want to be acknowledged. And it takes it on both sides. Everybody, we have to have accountability. We have to have self-accountability, right?
Yep.
Something happens to your loved one or your loved one was in the wrong. Don't be going up here talking about police brutality and all this stuff. When they pull the gun on the police.
If they pull a gun on the police, I mean, that's your bad. You should. I mean, like, if I was an officer, I'm going to defend myself.
Talking about.
We're not talking about that.
We're not talking about that, okay? So if there is some law enforcement that's watching or correctional officers, we stand with y'all, brother. This is not NWA F the police up in here. That's not what this is.
No.
What it is we're demonstrating that we have a fundamental right to be judged. To be judged. You can't kill us before we get to the courthouse.
Thanks to our worker here, crew member. Sorry. Go ahead and read that.
So our
that's
crew
the
member,
pledge.
The pledge of the police officer is, on my honor, I would never betray my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always maintain the highest ethical standards and uphold the values of my community and the agency I serve. So let's go back to the criminal case of George Chauvin. George Chauvin, what I've been listening in is what I expected, right? The prosecutor he's building his case little by little, right? Whether it be character witnesses, whether it be standby witnesses. One of the profound witnesses, and she told it like it was
his girlfriend.
No, we'll get to that.
You mean in defense of Chauvin or in defense of Floyd?
Just I'm talking about testimonies in general that shut the case down. Was the standby paramedic that tried to talk to the police officers. And what we found was she got emotional. A lot of people, most of America, I would say, witnessed this over and over again, even with the media playing.
Very traumatizing.
The blood flowing down from his nose, him screaming out for his mother, him apologizing, a grown man pleading with another man to let him breathe. And so it was traumatizing even for someone. I know how to emotional regulate when I need to, and that was traumatizing for me.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing that bothered me, right, is that the defense is all right. And this is sick to me. I'm gonna just be real. The defense is using the fact that George Floyd had drugs in the system. His girlfriend went on the stand and testified that they were addicts, and they used that and that he had the coronavirus, right? But you said there was
there's been a video
after, right?
There's been a video that's been leaked. Someone, I guess, they want to influence the jury. This is why they leak videos, y'all. Come on, stay awake.
Yeah, okay? Definitely.
So they leaked the full video from the camera of when they were trying to pull him out of the car. And yes, it looks like he appeared to be intoxicated and a little bit belligerent in his ability to, convey his emotions. The main thing is here, the use of excessive force. The defense, of course, that is their job. Their job is to persuade the jury to look at any and everything jargon that didn't have nothing to do with the case.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't have nothing to do with the excessive force. Yeah. Y'all are able to take in other people without killing them. Why did you stand on this man's neck for 9 minutes? I have to get some water.
Yeah, it was really, and then you had Officer Tao, who was sitting there holding back the crowd. The crowd was very hysterical about what was going on. They're like, "What are you doing?" Like, this man had his knee in his neck. You know what I mean? And then there was a witness also that was a martial arts expert.
My goodness.
I don't know if you heard about that. So there was a witness who was a martial arts expert who saw what was going on and the chokehold that Chauvin had George Floyd in, and he said that was a death hold. He was a professional. He's done many chokeholds, many different things like that, and he was like, that was definitely
when a 200+ pound man puts the full pressure on the cirrhotic nerve. That cirrhotic I can't even talk. The vein that runs in your neck, that's stopping all type of cardiac arrest and all of that. We want to talk about the fentanyl, right? People are saying that people are trying to justify that he was acting erratic. Of course you're going to act erratic. Police officers are supposed to have the training, and if they don't have the training, they're supposed to step back. They're supposed to redirect how they're going to handle the situation.
Yes.
They're not supposed to keep pursuing with force. Now, the prosecuting lawyer, kind of toward the defense on that. They had the supervisor up there, and they asked in the policy, what are you supposed to do when you come into this type of conflict? And he said exactly what I explained. You're supposed to step back, evaluate the situation and what's the best way to go about it, and not go full throttle. Obviously, you're doing a 3-point inspection. You're looking at the pupils to see if it's dilated. You're looking at the body language, and you're looking at the mouth or any other autonomy that's not up subpar. Obviously, he showed that he wasn't subpar.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna be honest. When you got people around you, first of all, this is the first thing that should happen. Once they had him in handcuffs, he should have been off the ground and in the car. Period.
But they couldn't get him in the car, bro. When you're dealing with someone, Mr. Floyd has some mass on him, right? And a lot of times when we are under the influence.
But think about it though. Even though you're under the influence, how many officers were there?
There were 4.
Okay. And so he was handcuffed. His hands were handcuffed. Right? Am I wrong?
Not at that moment. So they did handcuff him and they put him on the wall. When they put him on the wall, they try to pick him up, right? At that moment in time, he might have been so intoxicated that he couldn't walk and he was a little belligerent, right? Mm-hmm. The thing that I want to really press is a lot of police officers are saying, okay, well, we'll have a different response. Who wants to handle a person? Let's have mental health or social workers on the scene. Well, a mental health specialist and a social worker would have told you that you weren't able to engage in some type of management of the body when a person is intoxicated in that way. What they should have did is left Mr. Floyd on the ground and waited for backup. Okay? Waited for backup in a way where they can concisely come together and say, this is what we're going to do.
But
they did not try to, no.
With his foot in his neck, in the chokehold, and waited for backup. That's what he did.
Yeah.
And that was ultimately the reason why he died.
Right, but they shouldn't have secured him in that way. The policy was stating that no man on that city police force that was a police agent or law enforcement was supposed to sustain that type of chokehold or that type of hold when a person is restrained behind in their back. Now, the policy did state that, and they offered that up as what do they call that when it's information that's brought in?
Discovery.
They offer that up as discovery. So the main thing is that when you come across a person that's trying to say, oh, well, Black Lives Matter, why don't y'all listen? Because I have counterparts that say that. And you have to be able to be encouraged with that dialogue and not be totally offended. It's very easy to be offended because that's what people want you to do. They don't want you to pay attention to what Black Lives Matter mean and all of the excessive force and all of the disparities and how we've been treated. They want to pay attention to surface details.
I'll tell you why that bothers people. So, we have we have an epidemic with the Asian community going on right now. Now, the Asian community, all across the United States, there are several hate crimes going on against them. Now, I guarantee if the Asian community said Asian lives matter, it wouldn't be such a big deal with anybody. But the reason why it's a big deal when we say Black Lives Matter towards some of our white racist counterparts is because of the fact that their ancestors enslaved us. It goes all the way back there.
Right. So there is a white.
So they get offended by it.
Well, there is a white racial guilt, and that's what you're comparing.
Because they feel like we're referencing that towards all of white America. You know what I mean when we say that?
I want to say we are, because even those individuals who believe.
I'm going to say I disagree, but go ahead.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Even though those individuals that believe in us, believe in equity, believe in social justice for Black and brown people, they're still not aware of their privilege. And they stay in complacency, not knowing what they can do with their privilege. Their skin tone by itself is privilege. Let's just talk about it, right? Their ability to gain a loan, their ability to gain funding, their ability to be accepted in higher education at higher rates, that's privilege. If you have that privilege, how do I use that in a way that's going to benefit my Black community? my Black brothers and sisters. When I see some injustices going by, instead of taking out my camera, can I use my privilege to hold accountability to a white police officer that I know is doing some unethical things? So in that case, yes, we're telling the consistencies across the board, be aware, be conscientious, Black Lives Matter, and this is why.
Well, I'm going to say no, only because, you have, this is a new day and age. If we were talking 1930s, 40s, where the majority of white America was racist, then I would say okay. But the majority of white America is not racist right now. You have the ones trickling through that are racist, and those are the ones we're talking about. The ones who are actually racist, the ones who are not racist. How could we be talking about them? They're not offended by what we're saying.
And
it's the ones who are racist.
And I'm not saying that I'm talking about them. I'm saying that I want them to get it too. So there is people that we love, that we have in our family. Again, I have white blood that runs in my family, right? It wasn't of our choice, but we have it to the point where we can count back. And I knew my great-great-grandmother who had white blood. And so that blood runs through the veins, right? Our histories coincide one way or another. I'm not talking about it in that way. I want my white brothers and sisters, my allies, to be understanding that I need them to understand what we need as a community.
I'm going to say I believe some of them do understand, in the sense, and this is why we see some of every race almost, like protesting at some of these protests. I went to a protest. I barely saw a Black face, and they were protesting about George.
Yeah, I believe that.
So
I'm not going against anything you're saying.
I think people are starting to get it in a sense. I get what you're saying.
What am I saying?
You're saying that as a whole, you want everybody to acknowledge what we are saying. You see what I'm saying?
Well, there's been an intergenerational struggle, right? Passed down from generation to generation. There is no reason, if Roby R. Collins says what he says, for him to not be scared to go out at night in certain places and not get pulled over.
Right.
Is that a fact, though?
That's definitely a fact.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that with that knowingness, being able to have those courageous conversations with your children that are not of color, being able to talk with them, your counterparts, your family members who may not be Black or brown, and helping them understand, hey, if I'm ever in a predicament, I expect you. This is what, if you woke to the struggle, this is what I'm expecting from you, right? And having some self-accountability for our brotherhood. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
It's some white folks that I saw on the feed, on some of these news feeds, they kind of want to wash their hands of this already. And some of them was like, well, y'all gonna riot either way or not. Y'all gonna tear up something either way or not. I must have laughed, and I was, if I can eat and put the meme up with Michael Jackson eating his popcorn, looking at the comments, I would have. Okay?
I will say I don't believe in the fact that we riot. Like, some people believe that, but I personally don't believe it. But I will say this: if Derek Chauvin is found not guilty, woe to America. Because I'm gonna be real, like, there are a lot of people who have watched this over and over and over again. Even the body cam footage is out, and it's clear and uncut. So please do not find this man innocent, okay? Unless you guys want to see something crazy happening.
My face is sarcastic as I don't know what right now.
I'm just being real.
I know better. We're not in the dispensation of man. We have not become so enlightened that this is just going to go away with him being locked up. Okay, there may be some manslaughter charges, but the prosecution is going to get hung up because the jury is not going to feel in their souls and spirit that the reason why his wrongful death occurred was the fact that it was solely the knee that was on his neck. They're going to take in consideration the level of fentanyl that was in his system. Now, if I'm lying, I ain't sitting here right now.
No, I agree, and that's their defense.
They might hit him with the highest manslaughter, give him 10 years, and he'll be out just totally like Zimmerman was.
That's why it is an option.
Zimmerman.
Murder one. Second.
Y'all remember him?
Yeah, Zimmerman. I think somebody spoke about that. But I believe that's why manslaughter is an option. Just in case, the people are feeling in their hearts that it wasn't the fact that he had his knee on his neck that caused him to die. But we will say this. Now, I just want to make a point. All right, so his girlfriend testified that they were normal drug users, okay? Why right now, moment, after all the time that him and his girlfriend was doing drugs, at that moment, right, even though he was high or whatever he was, right, at that moment, die from an overdose? At that moment, though, when this dude normally uses drugs, that makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? Why not the day before? Why not later on that night? Why not later on the next day? Why right at that moment?
Did y'all hear what he said? He told the police. Now, this is another mental health issue. I'm sorry. You have to be able to see pinpoint certain things in mental health when it's coming down in its capacity. He said that he had just lost his mother. So obviously he was grieving. Okay?
Yeah.
He also said that he just got over COVID, which is considerably a loss when you go through that, right? Yep. It's traumatic. You don't know what's happening with your body and all this other stuff. Yep. This happened at the beginning of COVID. He caught COVID, right? Obviously, he's had jail time for drug use and probably didn't want to go back to jail. How could you have handled that better? How could you have been conscientious and trauma-informed? Trauma-informed means I hear this Black man saying that he's scared of us. He doesn't want to die. He's saying that he knows maybe he have done wrong. Okay. He knows all of that. He doesn't want to die. He pleaded not to die. Do y'all get that?
He pleaded.
So he told you cues right there that should have told you be trauma informed. How can I handle this man more delicately? But what it is we live in a culture where you don't get to be handled delicate if you're quote unquote breaking the law. Now, did a man's life prove to be taken over $20 over a paper bill? You hear what I'm saying? Think about that concept. With all of that backup, it took 4 officers to take down a man who came out of a convenience store over a $20 bill. Let's take it a step further, okay? The owner of the store, who's in a predominantly Black area, was not there. He apologized for his clerk who called the police, okay, in the first place.
What was his name?
Did the clerk have prejudices? Did the clerk say, with this $20, why didn't he just say, hey man, you can't buy this, man. This is not real. Bring me some more money. Why is it that people who are predominantly in Black areas still have prejudices? I can't never say that.
Prejudices.
I
have a problem with certain words. Right, not sources. I've never been able to say it.
Prejudice. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Prejudices against us. Again, Black economics, y'all. Come on now. Come on. Like, seeing where the prejudices are, calling out what it is. Like, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people still using that neighborhood liquor store.
Yeah.
Because it's convenient.
Well, there was a witness. Now, I don't know if you're talking about the same store where
he died in front of the store, bro. He died on the corner in front of the store.
Christopher Martin was the clerk. And Christopher Martin was actually a witness for George Floyd. And, when he went out there, he heard the commotion. He went out there and he pulled out his phone and he started videotaping right along with everybody else because he saw how horrific what was going on was,
So he was uninformed 19-year-old. That's why y'all gotta stay woke. Talk to your kids. Talk about prejudices and racism and institutionalized racism and how it runs thick. Our Asian brothers and sisters, the reason why some of them are getting hurt is because there's some black folks, a part of our community, whether you like it or not, believes that injustices have been done to them. So what does hurt people do? Hurt people hurt people. Am I justifying that? No.
It don't make
By
it
all
right.
means, I am not standing by hate. But we have to break this thing down. We have to be able to get to the pathology and the source of the hate and the division. How do you divide and conquer? Well, you take one opposite opponent against another. You put in a resource that only you give to one person. This has been historical, y'all. You give to only one person, and then you say, hey, you are the most likely candidate that we like. We accept you over the darker brother.
Mm-hmm.
That has happened to us historically for ages.
And it causes that separation.
And bitterness.
A lot of other things. And we talked about it before. It goes all the way back.
It goes way back. It goes past colonial, post-slavery. Mm-hmm. They understood the options, those that held power. They understood in order to control the masses, we must divide and conquer. This is why united we stand, divided we fall. Mm-hmm. That's where that came from, right? So going back to this George Floyd case, mm-hmm. what is it that you think us on the grounds here, what do you think we need to do, Art Collins?
I think as a people, and just going back, I'll go to the smallest little thing, and then I'll just take it a little step further. But the smallest little thing, have you ever been riding in your car or been at a store and you seen another black person? I'm talking to black people now. And they didn't say how you were doing. They looked at you crazy, mugged you, or had a dirty
all
look.
The time.
You know what I mean? That's first thing. We need to stop that.
We need to stop it.
We need to stop that.
Come on now.
And this is not a revolution type thing. I'm trying to say we need to do this and come against everybody. No, I'm saying as a race of people, we need to have the love factor in there a little bit stronger.
Other people respect and see it.
They respect and see it. Because
if we don't respect our own, they're not going to respect us. They have said it.
I'm not going to say it's always been like that. Because if you think, right, when we had the right leaders, back in the 1930s and 40s and 50s, we were a lot more close-knit.
Black Renaissance.
Yes, because, we had a reason to come together. Right now, there's a little bit more freedoms and then there's not. But we got people who, in our race, that I feel like it starts from person to person. This is why I told myself, whenever I see somebody of the same nationality, even different nationality, but more so of the black race, I'm not going to mean mug you. I'm not going to look at you crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to change the narrative. I'm going to, hey, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. How you doing, sister? Good to see you. You know what I'm saying? That's first thing. Next, I think that we need, in the communities that we have, first of all, some of this music and some of this this music, I believe, is and movies that
depict us in a wrong light.
It really depicts us in a wrong light, and it shows we may have gang wars in the movies. It programs us it's us against them. It's this side against that side, and then guess what? In the rap music and some of these other puppets out there, because there's a lot of puppets in the music industry, and they don't realize that they're being used, to further the agenda of this hatred. So when they got guns, when we see, like we talked last week.
And how many chains?
Scared to go outside?
How many chains can you wear at one time? I'm gonna talk about that too. How many chains can you? It's really on some, and I can't use that word, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right? It's some ignorance that you would have an entire hotel on your neck and then go back into the ghetto to flash or do whatever, and then you get shot or something happens because you're going back to your lower brother flashing on people, right?
Well, what that is, and that goes back to, so what that is I want to put on the jury. I want you to see me in a certain light, that I'm better than you. And guess what? The other person who is on the other side sees what you're trying to say.
But it furthers, what I'm saying is, it furthers that agenda.
But this is what I'm saying, and this is what it boils down to. Because guess what? Now instead of me coming and showing y'all love, guess what? I'm coming to floss on y'all. Me on the other side, who's dirt
hungry,
poor, hungry, I see what you're trying to do.
Looking for a purse to snatch.
Now I'm upset that you done came and instead of showing me love or how you doing, you coming to floss on me. And instead of trying to bring all of us up at once, you want to come and floss. Now, I don't think, this is how it perpetuates itself. This is how cycles are not broken. We are programmed. We think wrong, man. Like, I'm sorry, Black folks, we think wrong sometimes. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I never thought like that.
It was designed that way.
It was.
Right? It was designed that way. And what just happened last month was, and a lot of you may not know this, is that basically a death note was left by the man who was one of the responsible agents that was placed in the security of Malcolm X. He opened up and said that he was part of the assassination of Malcolm X. And
really?
So the Shabazz family was able to get closure, but the NY Police Department, New York Police Department, along with the federal FBI agency that was J. Edgar Hoover coordinated what they called the Black Messiah campaign. And so they actually went after all of our Black leaders and they assassinated them because they were afraid of an uprising that was going to happen. They understood the emotional turmoil, the unequal trauma that they had established and allowed to happen, and they did not want us to uprise. So going back fundamentally, being clear and understanding what your role is right now, whether you're a white ally, right? We need you to use your privilege. We need you to use it in a good way. We don't need this conversation about George Floyd and all of the individuals before him, the excessive violence that led to death. We don't need these individuals' lives to be in vain. We need to be heard. We need to be acknowledged, but we also need a solution-focused way on how we can contribute and continue to contribute to the overall peaceful acknowledgement of Black society here in America.
Yeah,
it's important.
It is, and I can honestly say this, and I do agree with what you're saying. I think that we as a people have to understand how important we are to the United States, instead of doing a lot of the stuff that we've been doing. You know what I mean? Like, there's two sides to it. You know what I'm saying? There's two sides to it, and it starts in every neighborhood, every hood in the United States, every ghetto, and every suburban area that we are living in, because it's the same kind of thing going on over and over and over again. You see the Hispanics, love my Hispanic brothers, but they work together. You can have a whole bunch of them in a house. Guess what? And they go and I didn't mean to say it like that, but I'm saying you can have a whole bunch in a house and they work together. You know what I'm saying? You put a whole bunch of Black folks in the house, and that's
majority of the perspective. But I talked to my brown brothers and sisters, and they said it's perpetrating and hating in they places too.
It's perpetrating and hating in every race, but more so in the Black culture. Because like you said before, this has been ingrained in us. You see what I'm saying? And it's like we can't shake it.
So how do we practice unplugging? One of the things that I practice unplugging, right, is the ability to, when I do see my brother and sister, when I see someone who's looking at me, I'm a fairly tall woman, 6 foot with heels, 6'2" with heels. Sometimes I'm a lot to take in, I'm pretty too. I'm really humble, y'all. Stop. I'm trying to get my body back too. I've been working it out.
You know what? I did a couple sit-ups the other
Come
day.
on, Gina.
And it was a little bad because
Listen.
I did about 3 and it was over.
Man, struggle with ADHD sometime, right? But it makes it all fun. All I'm saying is I'm a black unicorn, right? A lot of people don't know how to take a strong sister in. So, you know, it's one of those give and takes, right? Being able to be vulnerable when folks that don't understand how your hair is rocking all the way down, you got these 60 inches on Monday, hey, and then you got your little shrinkage afro on next Monday, and then they want to touch your hair. Like, be gentle with that. Don't be like, don't be touching my hair, because they're inquiring. They don't know how to hold a conversation about some things with the black community. But and just be gentle with that. That's how you start. It's about having dialogue.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be open and honest with y'all. You know what I mean? Like, but one thing that bothers me too about my culture, the black race, is that we wait for an event to happen, like the George Floyds and the Rodney Kings and all these to come together. That bothers me. That bothers me. Like, I don't want to be sitting up here and they saying innocent, now everybody want to riot, and that's how we come together. That's foolish. That's foolish thinking. We not thinking correctly when we thinking like that. You know what I'm saying? Then we get mad at people, and I said this before, we get mad at people that, you know, want to become mayor, and mad at people that want to become congressmen, you know what I mean, and join the police department. Like, y'all crazy, man. Y'all are crazy.
We have to get our individuals into those positions to change policy.
That's the only way.
It has to be organized and it has to be strategic. You also have to use your dollar. Spend your dollar in your community, y'all. I told y'all a couple of podcasts back that we rotate our dollar about 4 times in our community.
And that's sad.
Okay.
But we can change it, though. It's sad, but we can change it. We can change it in this city.
But you have to be intentional. You have to be organized.
Mm-hmm.
So be intentional. When you see your brother and sister on the street, say hello. How you doing, brother? How you doing, sister? Right? And actually stick around to hear a reply. The social divide that happens with the digital divide is real. That's all of this intellectual, internet, social media, that's taken away from the common practice of you saying and greeting and acknowledging the presence of your brother and sister.
Speak.
Remember to do that, y'all. That's just one step. That's one step you can do.
Speak.
Right? Feed your minds. Knowledge is power. But what do you do with all of that knowledge once you get it, right? How do you put that into power? Link up with organizations like the People's Empowerment Center, right? Watch podcasts like Against All Odds, where we're going to challenge your thought processes. Mm-hmm. Other podcasts, get into a book, right?
Yes.
Talk amongst yourselves, right? Engage in that dialogue.
Please, you know, it is very important. It is very important that you fill your head up with positive things. You know, and when we fill our head up with negative things all day, guess what? We're gonna have negative reactions to things. We're going to be negative, you know. So, and towards people as well. You know what I mean?
And I don't use the word bad when I do family systems or youth work.
Well, bring me back down to.
I don't use the word bad, so I'm going to use this disclosure in an auntie loving way.
Hmm.
Y'all folks that had your kids out there last time we had to get locked up and locked down and the mall wasn't available because they felt like rioting, make sure you start talking to your children now. Start talking to your children and anybody else who feels like because of the Derek Chauvin case, whatever the outcome is, if you feel like rioting, we're not going to do that.
No.
That's not what we're about. We can bring a protest together. We can acknowledge that once again, this has happened, but we're not about to burn the village down. And y'all want to burn down all of our shops and stuff.
Yeah. So let me say this real quick. You know, I love everybody who watches the show each week. You know, I do have family that is watching and they know how much I love them. David, I love you, bro, but please do not use profanity in the thread, okay? Don't do it, all right? You know, there's a way to express yourself without using a profanity. You know, I love you, you my family. You know what I'm saying? You my family. You know what I mean? Let's learn to express ourselves a little bit different. You know what I mean? And I think that's a part of the problem too, is because, you know, I mean, instead of, you know, like you said, every man for himself. This is how a lot of people think. You know, we got to get out of that mind state. Mm-hmm. We do, man. Because look, imagine if Martin Luther King thought for himself, Malcolm X thought for himself. Some of these, you know, majors thought for themselves, and they didn't take heed to the call what they took heed to. Who knows? We may have still been fighting certain laws right now. We don't know. You see what I'm saying? So,
well, I you know, and I differ, you know, David, we appreciate your commentary either way. You know, I differ. I'm Democratic all the way. So I differ from R. Collins. You know, I'm old, and sometimes, you know, I coined the phrase. I'm the first one to use it. Sometimes I will go Kirk Franklin on you. But I'm learning to use more expressive words. Well, right, to explain my position, okay?
Right.
But on the other hand, you know, looking at, there is a sacred rage. There's a sacred rage that happens within us when we see injustices, and a lot of us do want to throw in the towel. A lot of us might engage in a race war. That's what they want us to do, right?
That's what.
There's a lot of provocation. I can't talk today.
Provocative.
It's the same thing. Ken and Barbie. That's my nickname. R. Collins and Sister Netta. But there is a lot of provocation that's happening within our communities that is not us. I need you to be astute. I need you to lend an ear to it and be woke. Some people are infiltrating our communities and trying to blame that some of the violence is us. Yeah. All I want to say, and we're going to end on this note, remember the Capitol. It wasn't a whole bunch of us acting in that behavior. So y'all just remember the Capitol. Yes. And how they stormed the Capitol.
Yes.
Because I didn't see a lot of us folks up there. And Blue Lives Matter certainly didn't matter. And I hate to say that, but they killed the police at the Capitol. So all I'm saying is, y'all remember both sides. Remember when people want to get into a conversation, a deep conversation with you, y'all remember both sides. Take a step back, acknowledge Black folks' rage and tiredness, right? Acknowledge white people's fragility, because sometimes they're fragile. I don't want to pay for what my ancestors did to y'all. I really don't, you know? And then just be mindful of where you are at in it.
Yeah, I will say, I think that we as, you know, we'll say the elder ones, you know, to the younger, you know, we need to make sure that we're being a good example. You know, we brought several people on the show that has shown like a lot of things that they're doing in the community to show those examples. You be that example. Don't. Like, I'm tired of seeing these murders, these foolish murders. And listen, and we're going to end right here, and I'm going to say this. You know, when I was incarcerated with a lot of murderers. And some of those murderers told me that they wished that they had never done what they did. Almost every last one of them told me this. So I will tell some of you out there right now, if you have a heart of murder, if you're angry, if you're upset at your fellow brother, because we all brothers, I don't care what skin color you are, you know, we all came from Adam and Eve, guess what? You know what I mean? And just landed on different parts of the earth, and there you go. But I will say this, within Black culture, you know, if you're out there and you're angry and you're upset and you have these emotions, you know, try to go let that steam off some other kind of way. Don't let it off on somebody else. You know what I mean? People got families, you know, you're affecting a lot. And once you get in a situation that you do that, you're marked. Either you're going to have somebody coming back for you 9 times out of 10, right? Or you're going to jail. And guess what? believe me, you would have probably rather got shot than go to jail and stand there for a life sentence. Because almost everybody who's my cellmate, who was a lifer or who did these murders, desired to die. All right, so
and a little piece of your spirit goes too.
It does.
When you take a life, a little bit of your spirit goes.
It does.
So practice humanitarian, practice love, practice grace, right? So it's a lot to practice restraint, and be mindful, be prayerful, stay diligent, and open up that eye. Really stay and pay attention to what's going on around you. And so we love you all. Thank you
Real
for
quick,
tuning
I'm
in.
sorry, because people have been saying things. I just want to address this one thing, and then we'll sorry about that. Somebody said, you can speak it all day, but what are you going to do about it? So, and then we can end. Start with myself. Start with you. Okay? You be the change. You know what I mean? Start with you. Nobody can control you. You have to control yourself.
I live this walk.
You know what I'm saying?
This is me since I've been a little girl. I live this walk. So yes.
Okay.
You definitely could do that.
Okay, so
peace be with y'all. Go with God. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, all of that. I'm not seriously, right? We got to come together.
We do.
And if George Floyd's death, among all the other deaths that came before him, does not, rest in peace, Eric Garner, rest in peace, Tamar Rice, rest in peace, right, to Breonna Taylor, right? Those are just some of the last ones that we had that made national news.
Yes.
Please, please, please be diligent to love one another. Okay,
we're
up against all types of odds, y'all.
And other races, like, just see where we coming from. We don't hate none of y'all. Just see where we coming from.
All right.
All right.
So signing off. Love y'all. Peace.